What is up, everybody? My name is Logan Sherrill. Welcome to TTF Sherrill Talks Football. Today I'm going to be going over even more NFL news about the offseason that have come out the last couple days, because I made a part one basically a couple days ago, and ever since there's been so much more news that have come out. So I'm just going to be going over everything that I missed. And if I miss any, which is probably likely, I'll try to do as much shorts as I can for my Instagram. And you have the link to my Instagram in my bio of my YouTube account. Let's not waste any more time because there is a lot to talk about. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. With all that out of the way, let's get started. So the first piece of news we've got is former Vikings corner Cam Beenum has signed with the Colts, and they have agreed on a 4-year, $60 million contract. It's honestly deserved too, because he was a huge part to that Vikings defense last year, and he was so underrated. Like, he was a very good corner, and hardly anybody talked about him. And being on a team like Indianapolis, who needs all the defensive help that they can get, I think his name will be talked about a lot more. Good for him. Next piece of news we've got is that former Niners safety Talanoa Hufanga has gone to the Broncos, and they have agreed to a 3-year contract worth up to $45 million. Hufanga did just come off of an injury year he had last year with the Niners, but when this man is healthy, the Broncos are getting one of the best safeties in football. So this is a really great pickup by Denver. And also, I forgot to mention this at the start of the video, San Francisco 49er fans, if you do not like bad news, I would not suggest watching this video because there's going to be a lot of it. Next piece of news, former Chargers wide receiver Josh Palmer has agreed signing with the Bills and on a 3-year, $36 million contract. Josh Palmer is a bit of a hit or miss wide receiver. Sometimes he forgets how to play the position, but when he is on, and he is one of the more underrated slot receivers in football. Anything helps for this Buffalo wide receiver room, because I'm not saying it's bad, but it's a bit lacking, so they need all the receiving room they can get. Next piece of news we've got is former Eagles defensive star Josh Sweat has reached an agreement with the Arizona Cardinals, and he's getting a 4-year deal worth up to $76.4 million with $41 million guaranteed. That's a very solid bag, and he absolutely deserves it. He was one of the best players on the Eagles during their Super Bowl run, and he deserves to get paid like it. And if the Eagles couldn't do it, then Arizona was able to, and hopefully they use him to the best of abilities. All I hope for is he stays healthy over there in Arizona, because most defensive stars like him tend to get hurt often because they are not that great at keeping their players healthy, but hopefully he does well. Next piece of news we've got is former Falcons defensive tackle Grady Jarrett has signed with the Chicago Bears, and he has reached an agreement on a 3-year, $43.5 million deal. This is a very decent pickup by Chicago because they need all the defensive help they can get, because not saying it's lacking at all, but they're definitely going to need a little bit more help, because as well as it was really good when Matt Eberflus was around, but there was some parts that were weaknesses, and the defensive line was one of them, so Grady Jarrett is going to help that immensely. I will say, Bears fans will be excited because they really did work on their defensive scheme a little bit. They filled in a lot of defensive holes, getting a lot of players, so they know what they're worth. Next piece of news we've got is former Niners guard Aaron Banks has signed with the Green Bay Packers and has agreed to a deal on a 4-year, $77 million contract. The 49ers offensive line last season was definitely a weakness, but he was not one of the main reasons. Aaron Banks is still a really solid guard, and he was really good on that Niners offensive line, so this one definitely hurts for San Fran as well. This should be an immediate help for the Packers offensive line, and it's especially for a team that is trying to rise up to be a huge contender, especially the fact that they have to compete with the Lions and possibly the Vikings this season. I'm telling you, Niners fans, this is going to be a hard video for you guys. I'm just warning you now. Next piece of news we've got is pretty big. Former Texans offensive tackle Laremy Tunsil has been traded to the Washington Commanders for a package of draft picks. I absolutely love this move for 2 reasons. One, the Texans offensive line was absolutely atrocious, and he was one of the only remaining good pieces to that offensive line, so he needed to go somewhere else. And I think the Commanders are the perfect team for it because they are fighting to become a contender, and they're basically already there. So they're just building the holes that are the weaknesses, and they're doing a great job at it. I knew they were going to be aggressive this offseason, and so far they're doing a great job. This is an absolutely amazing pickup by the Commanders, and they're looking like a really good team. I would not take this team lightly. Next piece of news we've got is former Ravens corner Brandon Stephens has agreed to a 3 years, $36 million contract with the New York Jets. I mean, this is okay. I mean, he's a solid corner, but nothing really special. I mean, I could be wrong on that going to a team like the Jets, which they do have a star corner in Sauce Gardner, but they really do need all the defensive help they can get, so I think having him around could be decent. Let's just see what time says. Next piece of news we've got is former Raiders corner Nate Hobbs has signed with the Green Bay Packers and has agreed to a contract of 4 years worth $48 million. This is an underrated move by Green Bay because Nate Hobbs hasn't been really named as much for being that great of a corner, but honestly, he's very underrated and he is a very solid corner. So the Packers are getting a pretty good, very solid second corner behind Jair Alexander. The Packers are really trying to build their defense pretty strong, and they're doing a pretty solid job so far. Next piece of news we've got is Eagles are trading Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns in exchange of a 2025 fifth-round pick and backup QB Dorian Thompson Robinson. This isn't really a big piece of news at all. I just wanted to bring this up because somebody described this trade perfectly. They said it's like trading Halloween candy, and I think it's absolutely hilarious, and it's actually really true because both of these QBs suck. They're both backups, especially Thompson Robinson. I think he really sucks. But yeah, like, this really means nothing. I mean, Kenny Pickett's a pretty solid backup, but that's really it. Like, I just want to bring that up because it's funny. Next piece of news we've got is Joshua Dobbs has agreed to go to the Patriots to become their backup QB on a 2-year deal. I did want to bring this up because I always thought he was a solid backup, and honestly, him going to New England could really help because, say Drake May gets hurt again, he's a very solid backup. So if the Patriots have to use him at all, he's a solid option. Next piece of news we've got is former Niners cornerback Charvarius Ward has reached an agreement on a 3-year deal worth up to $60 million with the Indianapolis Colts. Ward is coming off of a season where he was very underwhelming last season, but at his peak, he is a very solid corner, and even still, the Niners, like I said with the last 3 players I named that are leaving the Niners, they are definitely going to miss him because he was a good part to that Niners defense. And he should be a very solid option for that Colts defense. He should be a very solid player, so good job by Indy. And I'm going to keep saying it, Niners fans. If you want to click off, that's fine. This is going to be a hard video for you guys. Next piece of news we've got is that Darius Slayton is re-signing with the New York Giants to a 3-year, $36 million contract. I've always thought this wide receiver was pretty underrated. I mean, he's not the best, but he's also not the worst. And he's a very solid second receiver behind Malik Neighbors. So keeping a guy around like Darius Slayton around is a pretty solid option. Like, good job by New York. Next piece of news we've got is former star linebacker for the 49ers, Drake Greenlaw, has signed with the Denver Broncos to join with his teammate, Talanoa Hufanga. I remember the day this came out a couple days ago, and Broncos fans were talking so much shit to Niners fans because they stole 2 star defensive players from them. And this one is probably the biggest one because if you keep this guy healthy, this guy is a monster. He's, in my opinion, a top 5 linebacker. He's elite. And just, adding all of this, the Denver Broncos defense is looking scary. They have Pat Surtain, who's the best corner in football, in my opinion. You've got Hufanga as the safety. And then you got Drake Greenlaw as a star linebacker. Like, they're looking damn good. Next piece of news we've got is former Steelers running back Najee Harris has signed to a 1-year deal worth up to $9.5 million with the Los Angeles Chargers. Look, I know I give this guy a lot of shit because I say he's slow and I don't think he's as good as his numbers show. But let's be honest, he's a very solid running back, and even though I think he's overrated, I think he's still a pretty decent running back, and going to a team like the Chargers should help him a lot. But that makes me wonder, are they going to try to copy the Lions on doing like a whole thing like Najee Harris is the strength while J.K. Dobbins is the speed? Because I kind of like the idea, but let's just see what happens. I'm not sure if that duo is going to work, but let's just see what happens. Alright, this next piece of news, we're going to treat this like it's a funeral because this one is actually really sad, and I absolutely feel Niners fans for this one. And it is that the Niners have informed that 9-time Pro Bowl fullback Kyle Juszczyk is being released. This is obviously really sad because not only is he the best fullback in the NFL, and it's not even close, but he was just one of the heart and soul to that team. Like, he was such a great person to that team. Everybody loved this guy, and he's just a fan favorite. Everybody loved him. And seeing him changing team is honestly pretty sad because I didn't think the Niners would do this at all. Like, I didn't think they would ever make this move. And I know they're trying to make money to basically give Brock Purdy a new deal, but at this point, is it really worth it? Like, you're basically, like, letting go like your whole team. So any 49er fans that are dealing with a little bit of depression because of this move, I don't blame you. This one is absolutely sad. Next piece of news we've got is the Saints are re-signing Chase Young to a 3-year deal worth up to $51 million. Why? Like, why are we doing this? Like, he wasn't even that good when he played for us last year. I mean, he wasn't as bad as he was on the Niners, but still, like, I'm not a fan of this move. I mean, he can always prove me wrong this season, but for now, I am not a fan of this move, and I don't know why we gave him this much money. Next piece of news we've got is former Dolphins safety Javon Holland has signed with the New York Giants, and he is agreeing to a 3-year, $46.8 million contract. This is a pretty solid move because he is a very underrated safety, and he was pretty solid on the Dolphins, so going to a team like the Giants should help him a little bit, especially for a team that has struggled defensively when they really shouldn't have, because they do have a lot of good defensive players, but they were just all injured, so having him around should help. I don't like saying this because Giants fans are some of the most delusional football fans I've ever seen in my life, but like, they're doing something. Like, their defense is looking pretty solid so far. Next piece of news we've got is star defensive tackle that used to be on the Commanders, Jonathan Allen, has signed a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. This is a great pickup by Minnesota because their defensive line, while it was solid, needed some help for sure. And like, getting somebody like Jonathan Allen to have the defensive tackle position is definitely going to help because the Vikings defense was already really, really good. And having him, adding him to the mix is just going to make it even better. Next piece of news we've got is star offensive lineman Will Fries is heading to the Minnesota Vikings as well, and he has agreed to a 5-year, $88 million contract. Other than his elite last name, he is an absolute stud, and having somebody like that on the Minnesota Vikings is just going to make their offensive line even better. And I just like how aggressive they're being in the offseason so far. Like, they're making some moves, and they're making some damn good ones, having Will Fries on the offensive lineman and having Jonathan Allen on the defensive lineman. And there's going to be another one, so stay tuned. But yeah, I like what the Vikings are doing. Next piece of news we've got is former star defensive tackle for the 49ers, Javon Hargrave, has signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Man, Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen on the same defensive line, that's going to be absolutely dangerous if they stay healthy. The Vikings, like I said before, are being very aggressive in the offseason right now, and doing this is just going to help their defensive squad even more. They were already elite, and they're already looking even better. Like, this is a great move. Next piece of news we've got is the Texans are trading for C.J. Gardner-Johnson in exchange of a former first-round pick. I love how aggressive the Texans were with this move because they already had to trade away Laramie Tunsil, and getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to make it worth it because he is a very, very solid safety. He's one of the best safeties in football, and having him on the Texans is really going to help. Him on that defensive team is going to really be good. The only thing I wonder is CJ does have a bit of an attitude problem, and I don't know how DeMeco Ryans is going to handle that, but that's a separate issue. This is a very, very good pickup by Houston. Next piece of news we've got is Cowboys kick returner KaVontae Turpin is re-signing with the Cowboys on a 3-year, $18 million contract, which makes him the highest paid special teamer in football. He absolutely deserves this because he is the best kick returner in football, and he is very good to have on your team. And I gotta say, this is one of the first moves the Cowboys have made this offseason that I say was a good move. Like, this was really good to keep him around, so good job, Dallas. Next piece of news we've got is the Saints are re-signing tight end Juwan Johnson to a 3-year deal. I'm not saying this because I'm a Saints fan. I'm saying this because it's true. Juwan Johnson is one of the more underrated tight ends in the league. And I know he gets hurt a lot, like he struggles to stay on the field, but when he is healthy, he's a very solid tight end, so I like this deal. Next piece of news we've got is the Atlanta Falcons are re-signing Mike Hughes to a 3-year, $18 million deal. I know this man started off really badly in the NFL, but he's just gotten better as the time has gone, and he deserves the contract. He was really good last season. Mike Hughes is one of those underrated examples of it just takes time. Sometimes they can't be good right away, and he was very bad when he started, but now he's a very solid corner. He deserves this. Next piece of news we got is former Chiefs star safety Justin Reid has reached an agreement today with the Saints on a 3-year, $31.5 million contract. Finally, the Saints did something. I mean, I know we're in a bit of debt, but I was hoping we were going to do something here. And I'm very excited about this one. He's a very solid safety, a very underrated safety. And pairing him with Tyrann Mathieu is a very good duo when healthy. Like, this is a very solid move. All I hope for is our new defensive coordinator knows what the hell he's doing, because we got a pretty solid lineup for our defensive squad. I just hope our defensive coordinator knows what he's doing. Next piece of news we got is the Chiefs' former wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has reached an agreement with the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year, $5 million deal. If you're expecting me to say that this is going to help the Ravens in any way, shape, or form, no. Like, this is just like Odell. Like, he's not going to do anything for this team. DeAndre Hopkins, is sad to say, but he is extremely washed. And it showed in the Super Bowl. Like, he couldn't do jack shit, and he dropped like 3 passes. Like, he is so out of his prime. Like, this means nothing for the Ravens. Next piece of news we got is very interesting. This has a little bit of a story behind it. So, before, Joey Bosa was supposed to sign with the 49ers. Like, he was supposed to be with his brother and everything. It was going to be really cool. But last minute, the Bills came out with an even better deal for him that was a lot more money. So before, Joey Bosa was supposed to get like a $10 million deal. And then the Bills came out with a $12.6 million deal, like you see on the screen. And Joey Bosa just couldn't, like, deny that, so he took it, and now he is signing with the Buffalo Bills. I feel for Niners fans on this one, because that absolutely sucks, because even though they have lost a lot of talent in the last few days, having Joey Bosa next to Nick Bosa would have been really cool, and just seeing him getting his mind persuaded like that, it's just kind of funny. Like, he was supposed to be on the Niners, and then a little bit more money had him choose to go like across the country and let him go to Buffalo. So yeah, sorry Niners fans, so you're just gonna have to sleep on this one, but yeah, this one definitely hurts. And the last piece of news I've got so far for now, Damar Hamlin is getting re-signed by the Buffalo Bills on a 1-year deal. And Damar Hamlin absolutely deserves it too, because this year he was a very solid safety. He was a very good safety in the NFL. And also, after everything that happened to him in the past, like, he definitely deserves it. And for him to come out this season and have a solid season as he did is very impressive. Like, I am very impressed with Damar Hamlin. I just hope he continues to be really good. And there you guys have it for now. That is the last of the NFL news that I have so far. If there's any NFL news that I missed today that is not in this video, I will probably do a short on it on my Instagram. So there is a link to my Instagram to the bio of my YouTube account, so click there to see anything. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below on how you feel about any of this NFL news. Let me know if you're Niners fans, and let me know how the therapy's going. Just let me know. Anyways, that's where we're going to be done for the day. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on notification bells so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. I'm Logan Sharon. I'll see you next time.